Hey y'all. Welcome to another episode of the Rest Movement. Guess what? She's back. Co-host Sonya D, the Soul Stirrer, is back and she's live and ready. But guess what? Guess who wasn't? Me. And so I want you to come in tonight, join this episode, come chill, relax with us. But this is going to be a do over because there are more details, there are more things that we need to talk about. This episode, why many strong women don't heal, they cope. So we get the party started. We're having a conversation, but the real conversation will come in next week. So just come hang with us today. Welcome my sister back. Welcome my bestie back. So glad she's feeling better. So glad we get to have this time with you. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Rest Movement, where we release every single thing. Hey y'all, it's Freedom Fridays. Fridays, it's Freedom Fridays. Fridays, it's Freedom Fridays. Fridays. So let's get free. Hey, I am Renee Young Blake, the Nugget Dropper, and I am so glad you're here. And guess what? Guess what? Guess who's back? My co-host, Sonya D, the Soul Stirrer. Come on, let's shout it out for her. I can't tell you how happy I am to see her. How you feeling, girl?
Good.
Because your voice on the phone was making my heart hurt. So I'm glad it's just like you was trying not to get better. Like, what's wrong? You threw me back out there by myself. So I am glad to see her. I hope y'all glad to see her. I feel like a fish out of water because I had so much anxiety doing it on my own, and now having you back, it's like, why are you tripping?
Why is she?
I don't know why I'm tripping.
She got this.
I don't have my stuff together, so y'all just be patient tonight. We are just chillaxing. Y'all in our living room with us. And if this is your first time being with us, I didn't say welcome to another episode of the Rest Movement. See, where we release every single thing. Okay? And we are here to help you do the same. But before we do that, I haven't seen my girl since Christmas, since before Christmas. And I just wanted to thank her for going on this journey with me. It's nothing like having somebody who you love dearly and who loves you dearly, who you can open it. Girl, open it. They don't have nothing to do but watch you open it. It's not a Rolex or nothing, but I'm just saying.
I love the
And yes, we are card lovers, so I had to give you something.
to the woman who has always made me smile. She still has that great penmanship. Hopefully she stopped insulting mine because she could tell me, it's a little better.
Them left-handers, and if you're a left-hander, don't take it personal. But
I won't read this now because it's gonna take
yeah,
time.
we don't want you to know crying and all that carrying on. So
Comfort me.
yes.
And then this thing, yo. Oh, they're so cool. Oh,
That's only for your little road trips. When you out, you know how you like to roll. Put your little phone in there, and your little. Mhm. She's so prissy.
I like it a lot. Ooh, look at here, look at here. Silver. You know I'm a silver soul. I love silver.
Oh, I don't have one. Look at me talking about. Yes, me too. Ain't got a bit more. Have on those silver. I have on silver bracelets. It is something else in there. So listen, this cup mixes your stuff.
Mixes it.
Yes, it's got a little button in it. Stuff.
She loves gadgets.
I am the gadget queen. I can't help myself.
I'll have to call her. It's a little thing of it. That's an Asian. Let me see if the other side has a word.
Listen, you know them little things don't come with no instruction.
Asian.
I think I had to Google it, but it might be self-explanatory. I can't remember. I opened it some time ago. So I just wanted to thank her because I know that it's a sacrifice that she records with me. This is something that God placed in my heart to do, and for her to want to ride out this journey with me so that we can empower other women. We can talk about our journeys in being transparent. Even today's topic, which is why many strong women don't heal. What do? They cope. And we were talking about it just before we came on. We're talking about, I asked her the question, do you consider yourself a strong woman? Because I know my opinion of her. And she brought up something that I thought was very good information for us to talk about. This wasn't even the way that I was going, but after you said it, I'm like, whoa, that is why we show up strong. And we were just talking about, as Black women, how we have to show up strong. And how that's how everybody looks at us, and the stigma of it. They expect us to be popping off, but it's because of the system that set it up for that to happen to us. In America, I don't, in other countries, they probably can be themselves. I don't know. I'm not the world traveler. That's her department. But you said something that I want you to say again, that when I asked you about you being a strong woman, you was like, well, what do you mean? And we had a little discussion, but you were saying that you do consider yourself strong, but you would rather.
I would rather tap in to my softness and my sensitivity and all of those things that make me a woman. Unfortunately, in most instances, that's how we're identified all the time. Whenever you see Black, then you see strong, right? You don't see Black and see sweet. You don't see Black and see soft. You don't see Black and see smart. Strong is always, if it's not the first thing they say, it's the second thing they say. And because of that, it's put a stigma where it's like a survival mode for us. Like we always have to be on high alert. We always have to be in a place of be ready, for whatever may come.
What? Like it's about to pop off.
We have to be. And thinking about that, I was thinking about confrontation. But confrontation gets a bad stigma too, because when people think of confrontation, they always think of it in a negative.
Absolutely. That's one of my favorite things to talk about, because I hate when people say to me, I'm non-confrontational. Like, it only means discussing an issue because you have an opinion and I have. Let's confront the issue. It's not confronting one another.
Right. We're not going to fight. Right. But I think it's because people always have their guard up because they don't necessarily, it's not necessarily a correction, but when you have a difference of opinion, sometimes people look at that as you're not a team player or you're a problem.
Like we're all supposed to have the same mind. We're so alike. We do everything the same. We talk the same. We like the same things.
That's not.
We all look alike. No.
Right.
And so, yeah, that just brought so many things up to my mind, because truly, when we talk about why many strong women don't heal, they cope, it's not really calling us out. It's reminding us that we should be soft. We need to stop just coping. We cope because we don't have time to be weak. because a lot of times we have to lead our homes. A lot of times we have multiple people we're taking care of. Not only are we taking care of our children, but maybe we're taking care of our mom or our dad. You know, we're the caregivers. We're taking care of our children's children. You know, all of these levels of things, and we spend our time being so strong. And it's hurtful because then when someone shows up in your life, meaning a male, and he's trying to have a soft relationship with a woman, but she's, you know, she's putting herself in a comparable position. Like, you know, I don't need you. Well, yeah, you do. We need each other. And it's not, it's hurtful it's hurtful to our community. It was difficult for me because I was single for so long and was taking care of myself for so long. I had to let down some guards. You know, I didn't have time most of the time to deal with my issues. I just had to keep it moving. I just had to cope with it, and that's not what God wants for us. It's like, let's reason together. Let's figure this out together. You don't have to be strong all the time. And one of the things I learned early was that people praised me when I didn't need anything. She's so strong. Renee always got it going on. I heard something on another podcast the other day, and it was on The Pivot. And Chandler had mentioned that you should check on your strong friends.
Mm-hmm.
And it took me back to one of my former patients' daughter who said to me, she's always the one that shows up for her friends. She's always the one that, you know, everybody calls and depends on. And here now she's taking care of her mom. People just think she's strong. But she would have moments where she would break down with me. When I first met her, she had on this, you know, this steel, like, don't even try it. But as she got to see who I was, mm-hmm. and she could feel my spirit, she saw me as a safe space that she could actually share. You know, nobody thinks that I need help. Nobody thinks that, you know, everybody thinks, oh, you know, I know you got your mom. You don't need no help. They don't even call to check to see if I need anything because they think I can do it.
So as you were saying that, what came to me also is it's a cop-out for other people too. It's a way to get out of doing things because they give you this title, right? Oh, you never seemed like you needed it. You've always ask, right? Well, sometimes just show up because that's twofold. They are looking at you with an excuse that she's cool, she's got this, she's always got it. But then strong, the one they're talking about, the strong, sometimes they like wearing that badge of honor, even though it's tearing them down.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to, it's like strength and vulnerability, right? You want the vulnerability.
Got to have a balance.
But you also feel like going into that vulnerability takes the strength away, makes you weak. And you don't want that. And when you become so strong, you have a lot more trust issues, right? So the question becomes, are you willing to get rid of that title and throw it away so you can first deal with those things that have beat you down for being so strong, or get rid of those isms that we have? So you can be vulnerable to, like you said, going into a new relationship. Sometimes women have to be strong because they've come out of really, really bad relationships. And in order not to go there again, they put up that wall, which looks like strength.
You're going back to sexy whisper.
Oh.
They're not going to hear what you're saying, but I certainly heard it. She likes going into this soft, sexy voice. And I have to remind her, we are recording, ma'am. They need to hear what you're saying. Listen, I learned that my value was tied to how much I can handle. Mm-hmm. You know, Renee could do it. Renee, listen, call Renee. Even my job. I told y'all, if y'all participated in my 61 and done, my number 61 is that I was exchanging my paycheck and leaving a job or an employer that no longer values me the way I like to be valued and does no longer align with what God sent me there to do. But anyway, so the day of my birthday, I sent in my resignation, but I'm not leaving until a couple months, giving them some time to fill my position and so on. And perhaps I be available to train the person. But the email that I received back from the VP and the executive, especially the VP, was so heartwarming. But it just reminded me, she was grateful for all of the collaboration, all of the time that I spoke up, all of the time that, I supported my colleagues. And that's exactly what I was. They always counted on Renee. If there was an issue, they know Renee gonna come to the table with something. I was not a quiet person. And look at what God did. He told me in July that I had until April to quit my job. And he told me, until I leave, I am to be voiceless. No more complaining, no more being at the table, going against something new that they wanted to do. Whatever they brought up, whatever they said, this is what we're doing now. You just do your job. Because all of my colleagues would sit back and let me be the person who said something. I would get stuff done. I would get changes made because they know how much I love my work. And if I'm speaking up, it is wrongdoing. There's something that needs to be dealt with. I wasn't just a complainer. And I wasn't fighting for me. I was always fighting for everybody, that this makes everything difficult for all of us. Not, I'm sick and tired of this. It's, listen, you have to hear us because we're the ones out there doing the work. And so that was another way I was learning that, my value was tied to how much I can handle. And everybody's always looking to me to handle everything. And it wasn't just in my work life, it's in my personal life too. And until I just came to this topic, it's like, I spent a lot of years just coping. I wasn't healing. I was just coping. There's a cost to that. And for me, I've shared the cost was my health. The cost was finally after having one time having I don't know what it was, an anxiety attack or panic attack. That was the first shift. But I guess I wasn't listening. Then my GI tract started acting up and I was diagnosed with irritable bowel syndrome. But I know how to control that. How do I control it? I started healing. I stopped allowing people to do and say things. I stopped internalizing and started dealing with, why are you offended by this? All of those things came out of me realizing I don't have to be strong. Because I've always wanted somebody to be there for me, but I was always the one being there for everybody else. So I never gave anybody opportunity. And like you said, they would make excuses. Renee don't need no help. She got that. Because I'm gonna put on 45 hats and get the job done. I'm not going to. I wasn't going to, but I'm getting over that now. Even for this podcast, when I started out, I was gonna do this all myself, and then no. And then that's when God led me to, let me see if someone will do this with me, and it shifted everything. Because once again, I was going to do it by myself. Once again, I was going to carry the weight of it myself. I wasn't going to involve. Nobody needs to have an opinion. Nobody else needs to be just Renee's going to get it done. And that kind of thing causes us to die with disease. It causes us to suffer in silence. It causes us to have hypertension and all these other things that lead to us being sick and all of these things that are coming from stress.
Strong women, high blood pressure, all that.
All of that. And it's just like when they say that something happened, if something happens to a Black woman, nobody's running to her rescue. If they're seeing it happen, they're not running to her rescue because she's strong, she can handle that. No, I'm getting beat upside my head. You should be trying to rescue me. But if it was somebody else of a different color, of a different ethnicity background, somebody would come to their rescue. It is why I was watching something the other day, and this woman guess it was on social media. She called the police because her car kept getting stolen, and I don't know if she had a Mercedes, so I don't know what kind of something she had on it, and she found it herself. And
In the tag.
I don't know what it was, how she found her car, but she found her car. She went, and it was outside of a barber shop. And so the young boy who stole it was in there. And so she's videotaping as she's going in. She's called the police to tell them this is where her car. And I'm sure they told her, okay, ma'am, don't do anything. Just wait till we got here. She slit her own tires to ensure that he couldn't come out and go away with her car. But she went in there and kicked that little boy's butt. And the next thing you know, you see him being dragged out by his hair. I'm like, Lord have mercy, because when women have to be strong, they do what they have to do. Who was going to go and rescue her? Who was going to, and maybe the police wouldn't have even done what she would have expected them to do because of who she was. And it's always sad. It's always sad. I thought another thing that I became the one who fixed things, who showed up and who didn't complain. So this is calling you out by me being transparent about my stuff. So I hope you see some of you in what I am saying. And over time, being strong, stop being something I did, and it became who I was. So, my husband used to say, "You so bossy." I'm like, I'm not bossy. Maybe I am bossy because I always had to be the boss. I had to take care of me. I had to make sure nobody took advantage of me because I was female. I grew up with men. I mean, yeah, my mama was there. I got my womanly stuff from her, but I grew up with boys. Even when my cousin moved from New York and came to live with us, another male. So what was I going to be? I was going to be Tough Tony. Did I want to be Tough Tony? I don't know what I wanted to be because that was my environment. It's like what you have at home is your norm until you see something else. It wasn't until my second brother, brought his girlfriend home, and they were in the 10th grade, and she became like a big sister. And then he went away to college, and she went on vacations with us while he was away at school. She was more at our house. Then he's like, I feel like I've been replaced. Well, I got a sister, so I didn't get to see those kind of things because my mother was too busy being a mom to these knuckleheads. Call her sons, not the boys with the knuckleheads. So when you're the strong one, you don't get to be messy. And that's one thing. We're not. You don't have time for that because you're the strong one. You don't get to be tired. I know that resonates with you. And I say all the time, it's like I work just like you do. When I come home, I'm tired just like the rest of everybody else. Let me take that back. I feel tired. I ain't gonna say I am. I feel tired just like everybody else. And my husband will fuss at me because I don't sleep. Well, because I'm always doing something. When I read The Virtuous Woman, how hard she works to take care of her family, how she's up in the morning making sure things. I'm not bragging, I'm not being boastful. I'm just saying that as women, we do a lot. And that's not what God intended for us.
It's true.
How can we be anything if we broke down because we're doing too much? And we don't sit back and evaluate. We don't count up the costs. We don't see if there's a way to do it better. Sometimes because we want to hurry up and get it done. Even with children, sometimes we won't give them chores because we want it done right. So we do it ourselves. We fussing and complaining the whole time instead of allowing them to learn, and you watch over it. So what, they don't do it they're like you would do it. But how will they ever learn if you don't stop being Superwoman?
So that also sounds like there's some controlling in there. Being strong makes you controlling because, like you said,
I'm sorry.
you were strong for so long that in order for you to feel confident about getting the job done right, you wanted to do it, even if you had already allocated someone else to do it. And then if you did tell them to do it, you no, or you said, just give it here, I'll do it, kind of thing. So it's kind
I'm not completely guilty, but there's a little bit of guilt there. Okay, you're calling me out.
no, we're all guilty. I mean, I definitely can speak to that. Even in terms of being a BB, um,
That's her grandma name, in case you don't know.
I'm I've had to learn how to be very closed mouth because my daughters need to be able to raise their children and, the way that God has helped them to take care of this gift. But I wait for the moments of advice.
Can't wait. Like,
Yes.
ask me. Like a puppy. Ask me. Ask me. I'm sure I can help you. But it's funny. You raise them, so they have to have a little bit of you in them. It will come up just like when you were a young mom and raising them. You had your mother, but there were some things you just had to figure out yourself. You're capable.
Yeah, it's true.
But this generation is a different breed. So, I don't know what they are, these names, but just these children that are young enough to be old enough or young enough to be our children, they something else.
Like we grew up with the dinosaurs.
But you're still alive and you're thriving. But I'm a dinosaur. Get your life. You don't get to say I can't.
I was going to ask you about that. Why don't we say no?
Listen, that's one of the chapters, one of the nuggets in my book. No is a complete sentence.
It is.
It is. And it's very difficult when you're a people pleaser, when you're a strong person that everybody that you like to, like you said, some people like to be strong because they like that attention that, oh, they're strong, they're dependable. Oh, Renee's always going to show up. Or Renee, and you want to hear those kind of things. So you don't want to say no because you want everybody to like you. And I discovered that in writing even that nugget, that was my problem. Not that I wanted all the kudos, or maybe I did. I'm not totally sure. But what I do know is I wanted everybody to like me. And my thoughts was like, how could somebody not like me? Like, how is that possible? I'm such a good person. I'm always, if they need help, I'm Johnny on the spot. But what is that? Like, where did that come from? And I think it came from the episode that I did on abandonment. And one of the things was talking about emotionally unavailable parents. That's a form of abandonment. And it wasn't that my parents weren't loving, but they come from a generation that you don't talk about your feelings. You don't nobody sit around and how are you feeling? They didn't know anything about mental health or making sure they had to survive segregation and all those things. They had to survive and make sure their children were straight, make sure they were straight. And so they didn't have time because they came here, their ancestors came here, and your opinion as a Black and brown person did not matter. And so now that we are communicating and now that we are standing up for ourselves, it's a different kind of strength that you need. You don't have to be, I can do all of this by myself. There's a strength that you need to have in order to be able to fight for yourself, but you can still be soft and allow somebody else to stand with you and for you, which doesn't always happen. You get applause for holding it together, so you keep holding it together even when you breaking yourself. I think my computer, excuse me, y'all. Still connected to my work email. So the strong woman, what we were just talking about was a strong woman's identity and how they show up, what you see when they're being strong. I told y'all that my computer and everything was acting crazy. That's what the enemy does. He try to throw things off. So y'all forgive me for kind of being all over the place today. I'm trying to get my thoughts back together. Strong women don't fall apart. They fold their pain and keep going. So yeah, they don't fall apart on the outside, but inside, they're all over the place. Strong women aren't broken. They're overloaded. Got too much going on. You can be faithful and still be exhausted. And you know, doing so much, and sometimes now I drive down the street and I just laugh at myself and say, you know, you're doing too much. Now it's funny because I can identify it and then I can stop it. But there was a time that I would just be physically and mentally exhausted from being strong and would get right back up the next day and do the same bull crap all over again. The fear of pulling back and becoming the authentic me, how would that shift my relationships? How would people feel towards me when I started saying no? Or I didn't show up? Because I always show up. You know, I'm always going to have your back. And so when Renee doesn't show up, like, what's wrong? I was just tired. I didn't feel like coming. Well, that didn't bother you before. Well, the new me is putting me ahead of all of this running around for everybody else. Putting me first and learning that God is everywhere. So if you really needed something, he got you. He didn't need me to show up all those times that I was showing up. That was for me. Yeah, I'm supporting you, but there is something in me who needed to do that. And I don't know what it was in my childhood. Maybe it was being the youngest and wanting attention, even though I was a daddy's girl and he spoiled me. But I'm the little tyke in the house, and I needed attention. So how do I do that? How do I get it? But by demonstrating I'm just as tough as everybody else. But I was the girl. I wasn't supposed to be tough.
So tell me if this resonates at all. The strong woman can also be known as an enabler.
Mm-hmm. For sure. For sure. I was the queen of enabling until God revealed that to me.
I was thinking, yeah. Strong was also coincides with being loving in some instances, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, your friends, your family, they expect you to be there. Yeah, you like getting the badge of honor, but you also you love these people, so you didn't want to, you wanted to do what you could to help them in that situation. But like you said, God has shown you that you ain't got to be there.
Sometimes people just need to struggle. You can't just listen. You can't just, I did I think I've talked about this on here. I know I did it as a morning manna, and it's also a nugget in my book that you have to stop pouring in pots with holes. There are people who have no intention of being healed, have no intention of overcoming. They have no intention of taking your advice and doing any of that stuff that you're telling them. But every week they still calling you about the same problem. So at what point are you going to stop answering? At what point are you going to flip it? Because that's another thing that I learned to do when God revealed to me, you're handicapping people and you need to stop showing up for them. I'm trying to teach them something, but here you come trying to help the butterfly out the cocoon. And now they on the ground, can't fly because you keep helping.
Yes.
Like, shut that down, Miss Woman. So when they're calling you for this advice, what are you thinking? Put the ball back in their court to make them start having a conversation about what they're thinking rather than them picking their brain. They was They was using me as Chat GBT before Chat GBT was Chat GBT. Calling and getting my opinion so that you didn't have to think or do no work, because you know the gift that God has given me is to think quickly and fix things quickly. But he ain't say I had to fix it for everybody. Constantly. And it was wearing me out. And all of those things culminated into God telling me in the title of my book, He told me to rest. And all of these nuggets that I've learned over time. And the focus of the book is to help us shift our thinking so that you're not thinking in the way that you used to and keep getting the same results in life that you've been getting. There's no reason for anybody to be stuck. There's so many things out here that you can do to get out of every situation. And it starts with how you think. Well, it starts with being aware that you have an issue. And once you have awareness, then start working on shifting your mind about the particular issue so that you can bring yourself out of it. So how does coping show up? It's not because it's not the same as healing. Coping is smiling when you're hurting. You know? Emotional eating. Yeah. I told myself the other day, you know what you need to do? You need to go back to intermittent fasting, where you eat at 12 and you stop at 8. This little nighttime snacking because you're bored or you're tired of writing, you're tired of working on whatever you're building, you're tired, and you're you're not hungry. Like, what gives? And I will sit there and talk myself into going and getting it. I might wake up at 2:00, like, man, I've been craving that. Where's your willpower? You used to really have great willpower, but I'm working on it. Don't judge me, because some of y'all emotional eaters too. Don't judge me. Coping is staying busy so you don't have to feel. One who would never sit still, always doing something, guess what she does now? Sometimes she just get in her recliner and do absolutely nothing. Sometimes I'll have some music playing and I'm just doing nothing. Mira will come in there, y'all, what are you doing? Nothing. And don't come in here trying to find something for me to do. Girl, she had me take her skating last week. I said, I need some exercise, so let me go on and get on these skates. It started coming back. I got her the that thing that looked like and she's just as tall as me. She's like, oh my gosh, yeah, this is so embarrassing. I said, no, what's embarrassing is you're gonna be on the floor and I'm gonna be trying to pick you up, and then I'm gonna be on the floor, and who gonna get me up? So you just take that little thing and roll yourself around. So I went and got it and rolled it to her. I said, oh, this is slick. I might have to get me a little walker, because I was flying around there with that thing, taking it to her. But I said, no, we might have to do this more often, because I really, really had a good time. And I wasn't sore the next day. I guess my body just said, oh, I like this. You need to get back. Did you used to, because Forestville, man. Friday night, the Rolling Skulls. Girl, the one who's Larry, that was the leader, the one with the real big afro. Mm-hmm. He passed away a few years ago. Yeah.
He was so good.
Oh my gosh, they was skating. They was roller skating back in the day. That was our that was our every Friday night fun. We sorry. We just having I don't even know how we got there. Oh, I mentioned that she made me take her skating over the weekend, but I had a blast. It was good. It was good, and I'm looking forward to trying that again. So again, how coping shows up. Coping is, again, staying busy so you don't have to feel. Coping is shopping, serving, working, fixing, anything to avoid sitting with that hurt. Coping looks like overgiving, overworking, over-explaining, over-functioning. It's easier to keep moving than to feel. It's easier to help everyone else than to face your own path. Staying busy is how we avoid feeling.
Some things that you aren't necessarily involved in, but some are in their coping is drinking, having a glass of wine, or smoking a J. So you call it to just kind of decompress. But those are coping skills for some people that
Not good coping skill, because in the long run, again, you are masking. You're not fixing, you're just masking. You're getting the feel good for that moment, but as soon as the feel good is gone, you're either going to get some more feel good, or it's just going to keep coming up. And at what cost are you going to keep allowing yourself to go through that, instead of just taking the time to be healed and recognize that you don't have to just cope, that you can actually heal and understand that you can have a soft space, because that's how he created us. That's how he wants us to be. The cost of coping. Coping is expensive. It costs you your peace. It costs you your body. It costs you your joy. And joy is something that God gives. That's not something that's based on what's happening. And so if God gives it, man can't take it away. We give it away. And we can go back and get it, but man can't take your joy. Happiness is based upon what's happening. So if it's something unhappy, then you're going to be unhappy. If it's something happy, then you'll be happy. That's all your flesh. But when it comes to joy, there's something on the inside of you that just resonates with the Spirit of God, and is Jesus over you.
So that brings me to colonizers and racists and masters who do all these things to try to suppress Black people and systemic racism. And they keep moving it, but they still seem like they have joy. Like, we can't break their spirit, right? And what you said was that what they're trying to break is something that God put in you. Not to say that they don't struggle and have a lot of other issues, but there are times when they do reach and get that joy, and it helps them. So that's also a good coping mechanism, right?
Absolutely. So, because what God wants us to have is joy, and joy connects us with our spirit man being connected with the Spirit of God, knowing that if whatever is going on, whatever you're going through, there is an exit. God doesn't just leave you where you are. You only get left there if you don't deal with the issue and be open to revealing. You reveal so you can heal. If you don't reveal, then you stay stuck.
That's true.
Because if you don't reveal, that means you're not aware.
Or you're hiding.
You're hiding, you're not aware, so you can't begin the process. And the process is not always an easy process, but it's worth it. I like to say it's painful, but it's necessary. And you can handle it. Again, talking about the cost of coping, tired but can't rest, exhausted but wired. That would be me. My body started breaking down. My emotions shut down. My spirit felt far from God. Even while I was serving him, I would feel a disconnect. Body carried what my mouth wouldn't say. Stress became sickness. Pain became tension. Grief became fatigue.
I experienced the same thing in terms of how it started versus how it ended, and being strong and call myself coping, and not sharing what I was going through with anyone, partly for shame, partly because it was my band-aid to help me get through whatever it was at the time, but realizing that um, it almost makes you look like an imposter because when your situation is revealed and everybody's clutching their pearls and saying, "What?" You know how you got there and why you got there, and you, for whatever reason, didn't think that God was gonna deal with you, but He does.
Exposure.
Exposure. So it's always really good to have someone who is not going to be your hype man to tell them where you are. Someone who has a really good relationship with God, who can pray for you, right? And who's going to also
Hold you accountable. Don't put up with your bull stuff.
Yeah. Strong can show up all kind of different ways and have you, like you said, your relationship with God suffered because you were there doing for so many other people that you can't. I'm speaking for me now. My relationship with God suffered because I was so busy doing everything else. And next thing I knew, not only was my relationship with God suffering, but I was living in sin because of it. And I was so detached from it that it wasn't necessarily something that bothered me. I became comfortable in it because I justified it because I'm busy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Busy doing all the wrong things. So yeah, that's very important that you stay connected to God. And when you see that it's whatever that could be that might be pulling you away, you're gonna have to say, "Mm-mm."
You just made me think of something. We pull away from God as if His expectation is that we should be strong. So when you're having that weak moment, or that moment where you're not coping so well, that moment when you're falling apart, you don't want Him to know, like you don't already know. He never asked you to be acting like that in the first place. He never asked you to be strong and act like you. He says, in your weakness, my strength is made perfect. So when you are weak, here I come to firm you up and give you strength. But you acting like you don't even need me. You got it going on. You don't need me. You don't need, listen, but you about to find out. Wow. We had 50 minutes. Well, listen, maybe we will stop here because I'm all over the place. Notes, and my notes didn't. I don't know what happened to my computer. I'm not a Microsoft Word kind of person, and when I was putting my notes together, somehow it kept printing on top of each other. I've never experienced that in all my life. So I kept hitting the back arrow to make it come back. So whatever I did to make it happen. So I said, let me just copy and paste again and see if I can print this out. And that's where I'm like, I forget my cue cards. Listen, I'm just happy you're here. Happy to have, listen, I hope you're as happy as I am to have her back. So we'll be back. And guess what? We have 91 subscribers. I told you it was supposed to be by the end of December, I wanted 100. But it's okay. I'll settle for my birthday month. I'll settle for my birthday month. So now it's going to be real big. I want 1,000 by June. Don't play with me.
She said it.
And you know how, listen, we can do it because you're going to help us do it. Right? We want 1,000 subscribers because we want to be impactful. We want to see so many women coming out on top. There's so much freedom in God, but there's so much freedom to be obtained. And I know that you can do it. And I know some people, some women who need our community. And so not only do we want you to like the episode, we also want you to share the episode. And at some point, I believe you're going to comment. I got lots of feedback on my live. It was so fun to see that people had they had their own one and dones that they put in the chat. So I was excited about that. But that's what it's all about. Us having a community, us building one another up, us supporting one another, being able to have somebody call something out that you are experiencing, and knowing, one, that you're not alone. Because if we're talking about it, then that means that either we've experienced it or somebody's experienced it, not just you. And it being called out is not judgment. It is just to make you aware, because we want you to release every single thing. That's the whole point of this rest movement. The podcast is just a piece of it. It is a way for us to reach more people that we can't get our hands on. But who knows what the future will hold, where we can all come together in one place besides just being on the internet. So if chopping it up and getting back together again has blessed you, share the episode with somebody. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure when you share it, tell them to subscribe, so that you help us build, you help us thrive, you help us help others, because that's what we need to do as women. I know as we're talking about this topic about strong women, and many of us don't heal, but we cope. We're hoping to flip the script on the enemy who keeps telling us that we have to be strong. That's not what God says. His strength is made perfect in our weakness. And so he will give us strength to do everything we need to do. We don't have to fake strength or fake being strong when we're going through. It's time for us to be transparent. It's time for us to be vulnerable and open. But just make sure you're doing it with somebody who's safe. And we want you to know the rest movement will always be a safe space, a non-judgment, a judgment-free zone for you to come hang out with us. So you've just been nuggeted by Renee Young Blake, the Nugget Dropper, and my co-host over there.
Sister.
Now she's gonna be a soul sister stirrer. She been gone too long. The soul stirring sister. Yes. So until next time, don't just survive. We want you to thrive. Keep living, keep breathing, keep going, and keep showing up. We'll have another episode next Friday. We'll bring this topic back up a little more organized. Amen. We're just glad to be back together with you. We're glad that you spent some time with us, and take care. Be blessed.
Please.
Be blessed. Be blessed. We love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. See you later. Bye. Thank you for watching the Rest Movement Podcast. Remember, keep breathing, keep believing, keep becoming. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. See you next Friday.